is Nadine. I'm 26 years old. I just finished law school and I'm working for Legal Aid Ontario and I do photography on the side and I live in Toronto. So I became a Christian in 2009, so in the summer of 2009, and before that I was just your typical university student who went clubbing in Toronto. How did I become a Christian? My mom got really sick, and just through some really interesting experiences during that season and her getting healed and etc., I just knew without a doubt that God was real. Toronto is this mix of like all these different races. I think the best part about it is just multiculturalism. So I've been to a ton of cities in the world, but you can come to Toronto and you can walk into a restaurant and everyone is represented. And as multicultural as it is, it's not segregated. So people live and do life and play and go to school together. Say one thing Toronto doesn't do as well, I guess because it's such a big urban hub, it doesn't do community as well. So I found that in Ottawa, people are really open to opening their homes and having people over and etc. And I find Toronto people are really comfortable with, let's just go to a restaurant, or like let's just buy our entertainment versus being hospitable. So I think in that way it hinders it a little bit. It's just more challenging in that way. How has it helped me though? I think one, it just gives you this perfect picture of what the Bible talks about when it says in every nation will be worshiping Jesus. What's made it difficult is when you look at just geographically, and I think what you find in the downtown core are churches that want to please itching ears. So they want to be liberal. They seem really like overcome by culture versus overcoming culture. I think you have like triple discrimination. Like not only do I have the discrimination of being black, then I have the discrimination of being a woman, and then I have the discrimination of being a Christian. What issues are you faced with? I mean, within law school, no one expects that you believe in Jesus. I'm already silenced by virtue of my race and my gender. So I think some of the issues you face are a voice and seeing your voice represented. So I feel like I don't see that. I don't see that in our churches, and I don't see that outside of them. Misconception is that everyone is a feminist. I think this is the first one, and I used to be a feminist, but I think the misconception is that that is just your position and your worldview. So that's one. The biggest misconception about being a Christian woman would be misunderstandings of submission. And I guess as we all try to grapple with what submission be, and how much involvement a woman is allowed to have within the church. The biggest misconception is that we are supposed to be covering our heads, silent, and not participating or engaged. So I would say that's the biggest misconception about being a Christian woman, is that theologically I'm weak. So I have weak theology, I have wimpy ideas of what love is, and I am almost submitting to everyone. Secularism is unknown in this city, and I think it's because it's so expected. So where I'm finding is that like people just expect you to not believe. They expect you to be an atheist. They expect you to be godless. They expect you to love sin. They expect you to practice sin. And it's so. I feel like there used to be a filter, but now there is no filter. And what's normal is abnormal biblically. So I think that is my biggest irritation with this city. If we really want to be a unified city, irrespective of religious beliefs, then there has to be room for everyone at the table. And as much as the culture is moving away from Christianity, I think there still needs to be space for Christian values, and at least for the conversation to be had and heard. I think Toronto is a really good place for the church to thrive. I think it needs it. I think, again, like, we have all these racial groups, we have all these ethnic groups, so obviously there's almost like a global aspect to the church thriving in this city. Like, it would just have so much more reach internationally. So that's what I would say, is that Christians be consistent, bold, and hopefully the gospel advances.